I would suggest that when it comes to arguing, your goal should never be to vent anger and tear down someone else, but instead it should be on persuading the other person to hopefully see your position and also to minimize irritating them when you're doing that. And one of the best approaches when seeking to persuade another is to be gentle and respectful. Imagine you're trying to remove a splinter in the hand of a little boy using tweezers, and assume your goal is to keep him as calm as possible and to minimize discomfort as you remove the splinter. And that is truly your goal, you're likely not going to charge at the child very quickly and start chaotically probing him with the tweezers with massive force and speed somewhere remotely where the splinter is, all the while screaming at the boy to stay calm. If you take such a violent approach, you will likely startle, irritate, and frighten the boy. You may even injure him. You will have failed to have accomplished your goal of successfully removing the splinter and keeping the boy as calm and comfortable as possible. You would know that to achieve your goal, you would want to move very slowly, very carefully, and very gently, along with maybe speaking some calming, affirming words to the boy. So it is when it comes to disputing with someone. If you really believe the person is in error, it's as if you believe they may have a splinter in their thinking, so to speak. And your goal should be to remove that splinter and to minimize discomfort. And to accomplish this goal, you need to take a gentle approach. The reason is because a person's beliefs and ideas are often very dear to him, and they are intimately connected to their emotions, whether it be their worldview, their political or doctrinal positions, or some other belief. People will tend to love and have strong feelings towards their beliefs. And thus, because there is this intimate connection between one's ideas and emotions, the person's ideas will be a very sensitive area. And much like you would need to be sensitive and careful when trying to remove a splinter from a boy's hand, which is sensitive to pain, so we must be very careful when dealing with a person's ideas. Because challenging a person's treasured beliefs, even respectfully, is going to tend to stir their emotions in a negative way to some degree. This is why it is essential to minimize irritating a person's emotions when you are disputing with them. The value in this is partly because people tend to be more able to think and process information better if they are not feeling negative emotions. What often happens is when you insult someone, it will tend to inflame the person's anger towards you, and they will be tempted to want to defend their character in some way. Or they may want to retaliate and start insulting you back. This may ultimately lead you to going back and forth, attacking each other, and you basically end up getting totally sidetracked from the real issue you are disputing. Imagine you want to take a drive to some destination as soon as possible, and assume it's just a straight 30-minute ride up the highway. If that's your goal, that means you should just get on the highway and stay on it and avoid any unnecessary stops or tangents. But what would happen if you got on the highway, but after a few minutes you decide to drive off the road onto some rough terrain, and you decide to do some off-roading? Now, you might find it fun to drive over some bumps and through some puddles and weeds, plants, and small trees and so forth, but doing all that is going to hinder you from achieving your goal of reaching your destination as soon as possible. See, this is precisely what happens almost every time a person uses inflammatory language in an argument. It tends to take the dispute off the main road. You may have been having a nice, pleasant exchange of ideas as you are driving together up the main road of intelligent dialogue, trying to get to the destination of coming to some kind of agreement. But as soon as someone makes the first insult, there is the serious risk of steering the dispute off the road, over the curb, through a fence, and into an area where things may tend to get very muddy and very bumpy very fast. And if you keep it up, you both may end up driving off of a cliff. In light of this, try to stay on the main road of the dispute, keeping focus on the ultimate goal, which is to persuade. Focus on your topic and refrain from personal attacks or anything that might tend to unnecessarily irritate the person you are speaking to, which may take the debate onto some annoying and destructive detour.